Good morning, Arlo, Olive, and Frank. Grandpa coming to you from the living room in Jacksonville Beach. And we're supposed to be watching the sunrise here. Normally I would be down there going for a walk with your grandmother, but I'm in a boot right now. And so I'm not down there. This looks like a still picture, but it's pretty good. Anyway, I've been going to the beach and filming the sunrise and doing these Bible readings. But for the next month, because I'm in this boot, this restraining boot, anytime I go out walking, I can't go to the beach, and that's just not going to happen. So this is the next best thing. This is about a mile from the house, down by the Jacksonville Beach Pier. And hopefully this will start moving again, and we'll get to watch the sunrise. Anyway, we're finishing up the book of Genesis today. We're in Genesis chapter 50. And next we're going to move on to Matthew. We started with Revelation. Moved after that on to Genesis, and then back into the New Testament to the book of Matthew. So without further ado, chapter 50, we're going to talk about the burial of Jacob and Joseph. And we're going to bring the whole book of Genesis to a conclusion. When we're done Matthew, we're going to jump back into the Old Testament to Exodus. And this chapter here, 50 in Genesis, sets up chapter 1 of Exodus. And it says, "Then Joseph hugged his father's face." So, and there's a little background. In chapter 49, the whole family was around Jacob, and he made prophecies and gave blessings to all of his children. And some of his children got curses, not blessings. He wept over him and kissed him. Joseph instructed the physicians in his service to embalm his father. So the physicians embalmed Israel. And that's not the way that the Israelites buried their dead, but he's embalmed. He's made like a pharaoh, like King Tut. If you've ever seen the mummy of King Tut, Jacob wound up being a mummy. Let's see if we can get this rolling again. Well, no, it's beautiful though. They took 40 days, for that is the full time needed for embalming. The Egyptians mourned for him for 70 days. So this is all traditional Egyptian stuff. And the reason that it took so long is there was this whole process where they would take certain organs out and embalm them and put those organs back in. They believed that there was an afterlife, and that your body went into that afterlife. So that's what they did. They preserved everything and then put it back together and sent you off into the afterlife. When the days of mourning had passed, Joseph said to Pharaoh's royal court, "If I have found favor in your sight, please say to Pharaoh, 'My father made me swear an oath.' He said, 'I am about to die. bury me in my tomb that I dug for myself there in the land of Canaan. Now let me go and bury my father, then I will return." So Pharaoh said, "Go and bury your father, just as he made you swear to do." So Joseph went up to bury his father. All Pharaoh's officials went with him, the senior courtiers of his household, all the senior officials of the land of Egypt, all Joseph's household, his brothers and his father's household. But they left their little children and their flocks and herds in the land of Goshen. Chariots and horsemen also went up with him, so it was a very large entourage. And this must have been amazing to see. And I'll remember, this is your ancestors on your dad's side. When they came to the threshing floor of Atad on the other side of the Jordan, they mourned there with very great and bitter sorrow. There Joseph observed a 7-day period of mourning for his father. When the Canaanites who lived in the land saw them mourning at the threshing floor of Atad, they said, "This is a very sad occasion for the Egyptians." That is why its name was called Abel Mizraim, which is beyond the Jordan. And Abel Mizraim means the mourning of Egypt. So the sons of Jacob did for him just as he instructed them. His sons carried him to the land of Canaan and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah near Mamre. This is the field Abraham purchased as a burial plot from Ephron the Hittite. After he buried his father, Joseph returned to Egypt, along with his brothers and all who had accompanied him to bury his father. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, "What if Joseph bears a grudge and wants to repay us in full for all the harm we did to him?" So now they're worried. Daddy's not there to protect them anymore. So what's going to happen? So they sent word to Joseph saying, "Your father gave these instructions before he died. Tell Joseph this: please forgive the sin of your brothers and the wrong they did when they treated you so badly. Now please forgive the sin, the servants of the God of your father." So it's not enough for them to just go up and go, "Hey, you know what? We messed up. We shouldn't have sold you into slavery. Left you in a pit and sold you into slavery." The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. They're just like their daddy. And Joseph, to his credit, isn't. He isn't like one of them. I said all along that I was never a big Joseph fan. I think he's mamby-pamby, as your grandmother would say. "I'm going to tell Dad." When this message was reported to him, Joseph wept. Then his brothers also came and threw themselves down before him. And they said, "Here we are your slaves." Because remember, Joseph is the second most powerful man in Egypt. And Egypt was the most powerful country in the world at that time. But Joseph answered them, "Don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God? As for you, you meant harm for me, but God intended it for good purpose, so he could preserve the lives of many people, as you can see this day. So now don't be afraid. I will provide for you and your little children." And then he consoled them and spoke kindly to them. Joseph lived in Egypt along with his father's family. Joseph lived 110 years. Joseph saw the descendants of Ephraim to the 3rd generation. He also saw the children of Machir, the son of Manasseh. They were given special inheritance rights by Joseph. Then Joseph said to his brothers, I am about to die, but God will surely come to you and lead you up from this land to the land he swore an oath to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Joseph made the sons of Israel swear an oath. He said, God will surely come to you. Then you must carry my bones up from this place. So Joseph died at the age of 110. After they embalmed him, his body was placed in a coffin in Egypt. And so we'll find out what happens to the children of Israel when they go into the land, or they leave the land of Egypt and into the land of Canaan. But before we do that, we're going to look at the birth of Jesus Christ. And with that said, peace out.